All right, welcome to your first tutorial on how to use TinkerCAD. Some of you guys have seen this before, but this will be a good refresher for those of you who have seen it before. I'm here on my project page. The first thing most of you guys are going to need to do is actually sign in using your Google account. Remember, just click the sign in with Google button and Google will automatically remember your password. Always kind of handy. And then the next thing we're going to do once we're on the project page here is I'm going to create a new design. There is a tutorial once you sign in too. It's kind of handy, but you don't have to do it. And you can just follow along with these instructions. So I'm going to create a new design. And here it's going to take me to the field. Now, the first thing you're going to need to look at is that there's a grid here, and it's there are certain measurements on it. If you wanted to change it down here in the bottom right hand corner to inches, that'd be okay. I personally like to leave it in millimeters so that I know each one of these small little squares is a millimeter and one of the big ones is a centimeter. The next thing you might want to do is rename it. TinkerCAD always tries to come up with this interesting name. It just puts a bunch of random words together. So I'm going to name this My First Try, something like that. And then it will automatically save as such. So let's grab a shape. I'm going to start with a simple box. For your first challenge, you guys are going to have to do specific measurements. I'm just going to make this box a little bit bigger. Now, if you didn't see that part, you can always click Control-Z to undo. I can grab, see if I can zoom in a little bit here. I can grab edges of the box and make it any size that I want. So I'm going to make this pretty large and flat. If I right-click and hold, I can look at my object from different perspectives. So super handy. There's also up in the upper left-hand corner, you can click top to move to the top. If I click front, we'll look at the front of our object, sort of edge on, like we're right down on the floor looking at it. Is a different way to think about it. And then it's also always kind of nice if you ever need it, you click this home view and it will take you back to this view where you can sort of see it from above, but also in front of it too. So just right click and hold and you can move around however you see fit. All right. So I'm just going to show you guys a couple of the skills you're going to need to make your Titan vehicles here. And the first one is going to be how to make a hole. If I look on the right side of my screen, there's a couple holes already made for me. You can always grab some of these other simple geometric shapes and you can turn them into a hole too, like my rectangular prism I already have on the screen here, this red thing. If I click that, that will turn that into a hole in some other object. Now I'm going to leave that as a solid object. I can change the color if I want to. And I'm going to click elsewhere now. And let's put a hole in our object. Now I'm going to flip to the top. Actually, let me go back here for a little bit. And I'm going to drag a cylinder out. Now, in order to make a hole go all the way through my object, it's really helpful to make it taller than my object. And I'm actually going to grab this little cone, this arrow thing, and move it down through the plane. And if you see, my hole is going to be higher and also lower than my blue rectangle here, rectangular prism. And now I'm just going to drag my hole out into the middle somewhere of my rectangular prism. If I look at it from the top, looks like there's a hole there. Now, in order to make that hole permanent, I'm going to select everything, the hole and the box. Okay. And then this is going to be an important skill is I'm going to click this group button right here. And voila, there's my permanent hole. So now I have a hole going all the way through that. You're going to need to know how to do that in order to create your Titan vehicle. Let's say I wanted a hole Let me go to my home view here. But I didn't want it to go all the way through. Like maybe I just wanted to sort of hollow out the middle of this. In order to have my hole go all the way through, I'm going to get sort of dead on here. I'm going to lift this off of the surface. And if I look at the front view, so basically I want to make a hole that only goes part way into my object. This is going to be really useful for those of you perhaps making a boat if we 3D print it or whatnot. And so definitely you're going to need to know how to do that. So I'm going to go back to my standard view and drag that out into the middle of this. And then I'm going to highlight everything again and group it. And let's see what happens this time. All right, so there you can see I have a hole that goes all the way through and a hole that goes part of the way through. All right, next up, the other skill you're really going to need to know how to or be able to do for your Titan vehicle is to add shapes to a current shape. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose a different geometric shape. Let's try this polygon here. Drag that out into our field. Go to my home view because I always prefer that. And I want to add a tower onto this. Maybe this is the command center of my boat or something like that. So let's click that back to front. I'm going to move it up so that it sort of sticks up above the plane of our rectangular prism. Go back to my home view. I'm going to drag this over there. And I kind of want that to be a little taller, so let's make it like that. All right. It's not permanently part of this light blue object yet. So again, click and drag over everything, and then let's group. Now, if you ever make a mistake, you can always ungroup things by clicking this ungroup button. That's a handy way to go back and maybe move something around after you've already grouped something. But the best way is to, of course, try to get it right the first time. So here I have, it's ready, or at least ready as this needs to be. In order to get it to Mr. Griddick or Mr. Guffey in Google Classroom, you're going to click the export button. So I'm going to download for 3D printing. And if I want to 3D print it, I need to save it as a .stl file. All right. For laser cutting, you'll have to save as an SVG file. All right. So I'm going to click .stl file, and it's going to be my first try .stl. And there I am. I'm ready to turn in on Google Classroom. Good luck creating yours.